Hey y'all, this is Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey Kat.
And
this is the Fake Ass Book Club. Wait, can we both say it or no?
Hey, it's your girl Moni.
Hey Moni, I'm
What's
Kat.
up? What's up?
I'm Kat, and I'm back.
Oh, I like it. I like it, Kat. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Fake Ass Book Club. Holla.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes. Okay, so you guys are in for a treat today. In the honor of the title of our Fake Ass Book Club, we did not read a book. So,
we
told you
time
about this
week.
shit. Did not have time.
Didn't even try.
No, we didn't. And I want to say that initially, this person whose memoir we ended up watching is like a documentary. Is somebody that we've talked about in the past on this podcast a couple times, I feel like.
That's true. We watched Netflix, which was also a sacrifice.
It was, because it took, to sit down and watch stuff, y'all, it'd be hard for me sometimes.
And take notes. Like I had to, because I was like, I'm not going to remember all this. So let me
I didn't even take it. I needed to. I should have, because I know I'm missing some probably really beautiful points that I wanted to make today.
And you're missing my beautiful notes. Like you,
Those
this
look
is
good.
how, no, they don't.
From here,
this looks like the insane drawings of a deteriorating mind.
Oh, wow. Listen, well, it's better than what I came up with, which is air and dust. So
okay, I'm
that.
sure you'll have something to contribute.
So anyway, I'm saying all this to say, guys, we did not read a book, but we did watch a documentary about a really fantastic person.
Who writes books.
Yes, she does. And I said half of it. Amy Tan. Amy, pause.
I was about to say, because it's about books.
It is about books. It is about books. And this is how ignorant I am. I actually thought that the title of this documentary, which is Unintended Memoir, was the title of her book, which is false.
Oh, I think I might have thought that too.
Yeah, so, the ignorance is right there.
But
folks,
it
right
sounds like a book title.
It does. But I think that her, what was the name of her actual book? I'll have to Google it and come back up with
the actual memoir?
Yeah, it was in 2017. I do know that. But anyway,
I'm going to ask Uncle Google
do it. This particular documentary was based on her writing that book and kind of what went into it. So, yeah, it was just a fantastic documentary, kind of giving me vibes of the one that we talked about before in Our Mother's Gardens, because it kind of touches on mother-daughter relationships again, which apparently that's something we enjoy, because we've already kind of talked about this a little bit. But I'm going to let me see if I can find a nice little movie trailer statement for you guys. Let's see here. Let's go to Unprepared. This is so fake.
No, we're doing more than most.
This is so fake. Did you find it? The name of her?
No, I'm trying to find that. Like, they're putting them all in order. She has so many freaking books.
She is a literary legend at this point. But basically, let me see.
Where the past begins, a writer's memoir.
There we go. So that's the title of her actual,
But she mostly
book.
is in fiction. Generally,
Yes.
most of her books have been works of fiction.
Wait, do you have a movie trailer for her?
No.
This is terrible.
I was
hoping really bad.
I was hoping you would.
See, when you start depending on others, it gets real sketchy. I'm sure I can find something.
Okay, here we go.
Here.
Amy Ruth Tan is an American author known for the novel Joy Luck Club, which was adapted into a film of the same name in 1993 by director Wayne Wang. So that was like really short. Like there's way more to her.
No, but that's still good, because this is just the trailer part of just getting you interested in staying with us throughout. Yeah. We hope we were able to get you guys
because I know you remember Joy Luck Club.
I hope y'all do. I don't know. That was like back in the 90s. Like, I remember it. But it was really, really good.
Emotional.
It was,
and it got me reading her books. Like that's how I found a lot of books, was by watching the movies that were adapted from books.
Yeah.
And so usually I found in my life that the books are usually better than the movie because they have more information. And these are one of those ones where it's kind of a tie, because the movie's amazing. And
that's
the
what
book
I've
is
heard too, though, because I never did read the actual book. I saw the movie, though, back in the day, long time ago.
I remember, it's been a long time, but I do remember thoroughly enjoying the book. Of course, it is different than the movie, but it kind of has to be unless you want to watch like an 8-hour movie.
Ooh, yeah, because it was already long.
Yeah, because I would say like most of the audiobooks we've listened to have been like 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
Or maybe 5, depending.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, they, on average, like a normal 300-page book, I would say would be around 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
So unless you want your movies to be that long, they have to be different than the books.
That is very true. I like it. But yeah, so, and I want to say that, and actually, you know what? Before we even start talking about it, we do like to start each episode.
Oh, yeah.
With a dedication.
Yes,
you guys.
let's lift them up.
Let's do that. So we want to dedicate this episode, as always, to anybody taking time to listen with us today. Shout out to you. You're the real MVP out here right now. And also, I want to dedicate this to, I feel like I've said this before, but, and this might seem random, but people who are involved in cleaning up after other folks. You know what I mean? Like, if it's your job in any capacity to clean up after other humans, or even just creatures, we'll just say any creatures.
Cleaning up. Are you cleaning up?
Man, like, if that's your job, man, big ups to you.
You're
because
important.
I appreciate you. I hate doing it. I do it all the time. But, I mean, honestly.
And no one cares.
No. It's such a thankless fucking job. And people are disgusting. And actually, if they cleaned up after their own goddamn selves, they probably do a better job. But
I want
y'all
every
are
time I
trash,
clean the bathroom, it's like, you're welcome for not getting
you're welcome,
strep.
you son of a bitch. Right. For not having a whole
Or E.
rash
coli.
all up in your ass right now.
Yeah.
A yeast infection on your left booty cheek. So.
Right. Like all this.
God, man, people are just nasty.
Yes.
So shout out to you, man.
That
I see you.
dedication.
And if I've dedicated that before,
Cheers.
it's deserved a
I don't
second
remember
dedication.
that, but yeah.
I remember a lot of shit, though. So there's that. So just in case.
Yes, to y'all.
What about you, friend?
I wanted to dedicate this to especially the women of Afghanistan right now. We've, over the years, read a lot of literature by, is it Afghani or Afghan? I don't know which one's right. People from
the one that's right,
I've read
guys.
some of their books. Okay,
I can't know everything.
I can't
y'all,
either.
If y'all know, just plug in the right
you know,
one for
like
us.
the Kite Runner, like the
Yeah, man.
1,000 Suns,
1,000
Kabul
Splendid
Beauty
Suns.
School.
Yeah, man.
You know. It's so messed up that this kind of stuff happens because we dehumanize populations. And so if you're out there, y'all are obviously people, you're out here writing books, you're making art.
Creating art,
and
yep.
still doing it in a war zone. Like, that's the thing. It doesn't, war doesn't
resilience.
stop humanity's desire to express themselves and create art and want to be the ultimate version of themselves. So for this time, it's kind of turbulent and it's really messed up what America and Russia and China and all these different imperial powers thought that they could run up in there and do whatever they wanted. And they're like, nah, this is the Swat Valley. Fuck you.
Ain't it? And it's been that way. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, for
I don't
thousands.
know who
That's
you
the
thought
thing.
y'all
It's
were
like
coming up in
we
this
have been
bitch.
around here before y'all even thought about becoming countries.
Yeah.
Like, this goes back even before Islam. This predates that. So honoring their history, their
shout
struggle, and their survival.
So that's. Listen, that for true, because I mean, they're real survivors out here. So shout out
and
to
everybody
you
over
guys.
there who's cleaning up.
Yeah, straight up.
You ever seen that? Oh.
I've seen Black Mirror, but so our sound engineer's asking us about
Episode where
Black Mirror.
They're putting something in people's heads to make like a device.
You can't see that they're human beings. You see them as roaches.
Oh, wait a minute. Yes, I did. Why did it take me so long, y'all? This is why. Yes, I did see that one. That was really fucked up. And then,
It
when the
was.
veil was lifted,
Yeah,
it was
but
like,
that's how
oh
we
my
feel
God,
about
they're
Afghan.
people.
That's how we feel about
Oh my gosh, y'all. So he's talking
It
about
was
this
a
episode.
metaphor.
God damn. It only took me like 30 minutes to get there. Shit.
It was a metaphor.
Damn,
yeah.
y'all.
But that is how we're able to engage. Like, if we really saw like what it really was, we'd never be able to do this to people.
No. And the narrative, again, you know, this is about storytelling and how powerful that apparatus is that when, you know, you have, you know, the story that we hear and what we see gets curated, and it helps us create this kind of veil over like what actually happens, which I just can't. And so, you know,
My bad. Let's get out of there. Let's
I
go.
know.
Let's get
God,
out of
thank God for this podcast, because
out of Afghanistan and get back over to Amy Tan.
Let's do it, Amy. You know what I'm talking about, Amy.
Who
Okay,
was
cool.
wildly inspirational. This was one of those situations where, kind of like the Mary J. documentary, where I was already an admirer of your work, but now I like you.
Man, she seemed like a nice lady. And I mean, her story was fascinating. Her family's story was really fascinating. And I'm trying to see if I can find a little something about her too, because like you mentioned, I mean, she's written, I don't know how many
Several
books or whatever. Let me
She's
see.
a prolific writer.
Prolific. I mean, and you know, even just because again, I didn't actually read. I haven't read any of her books. Let's
Ooh,
just
she's
keep
got
this
some
out
quotes.
here.
Can we read some of these quotes?
Yeah, hold on though.
Okay,
Dang on
I got
it.
them. I got them queued
Keep
up.
them on, yeah,
Okay,
keep them on deck because we're gonna need
make
those,
sure it
'cause I
doesn't
asked
fall
you about
asleep.
those right before,
Yes.
for sure. Let me see. So I'm just gonna read about so this is Netflix's sort of. Is that no? This is PBS.
Okay.
So I think that they did this in conjunction with PBS, like her actual.
Yes.
So it says writer Amy Tan's hit debut novel, The Joy Luck Club, in 1989 captured. Wait, no, that didn't say captured. Dyslexia. Okay, catapulted her into commercial and critical success, spending over 40 weeks in the New York Times bestseller list. With the 1993 blockbuster film adaptation that followed, which was selected. Oh, wow. So National Film Registry in 2020. So that's recent. Yeah. So that's kind of crazy. As well as
deserves.
as well as additional best-selling novels, librettos. I don't know what those are. Short stories, memoirs. Tan's family established her. Oh my gosh, y'all. I should have practiced reading this before.
Tan's family.
Tan's family. No, that ain't even what it says.
Oh, no.
I promise I can read.
Reading out loud is unnatural and difficult.
It's weird. I should practice it more since that's part of like what I do now. But anyway, so Tan firmly established herself as one of the most prominent and respected literary voices working today. Unintended Memoir is an intimate portrait of the groundbreaking author and interweaves imagery, including home movies and personal photographs, animation, and original interviews to tell the inspiring story of Tan's life and career. And so that's just kind of in summation of what we kind of got a chance to see, which I thought was, I like how they mentioned, kind of the art and stuff like that and the drawings that was in there and the family photos. I really, really liked it.
You know what I liked about the family photos?
What did you
It
like?
reminded me of looking at photos in my own family albums.
Yeah, ma'am.
Especially the stuff from the 50s and 60s when taking pictures at home became a big deal.
Like a
Like when
whole
the
thing.
technology advanced enough that it was pretty much a household item. People could have cameras and camcorders and make these and the fact that her father was an amateur photographer, so she had these great captures of them because he would always pose them and make sure they had these great backdrops and their clothes. And then just that sort of when they were talking about the actual Joy Luck Club that was between different immigrant Chinese families.
Yeah, talk about that a
to
little
get
bit.
together.
Kinda give them the idea
Yeah,
what
like
that
this was
I thought that
basically
was-
because I always love stories about the immigrant experience because I've never had to do that. What it would be like to go off into another world where they speak a different language, have
Hard.
different values, different food, everything's different.
I just hear hard.
It
difficult,
is. And
hard.
then the fact that so many immigrants are looked down upon because their English is broken and you're seen as dumb.
Let me hear your Mandarin, bitch. Let me hear your Cantonese out here.
Right?
You know what I'm saying?
It's like, ni hao.
Right.
I'm
That's
done.
it.
I'm done.
And then
That's
we have
all
wrapped
I
up
know.
my knowledge. She.
I was like, I wouldn't be able to spend money in their culture. I don't know what their monetary units are. I don't know how to do math in
Let's
it.
just talk about ignorance. Let's talk about the overwhelming ignorance I'd have walking into any culture trying to fix myself in the middle of it.
I would
and
need
function.
a guide. I would
A
be
friendly one, hopefully. Goddamn.
I would need a guide. It would be so difficult. So these families that would get together for a sense of family and familiarity, like she had her friend who was kind of like her play cousin growing up, or like the aunties, like the fact that she called her mother's female friends aunties. I'm like, wow, that's very familiar. We do that.
Yes. My kids are. It's TT or auntie.
Yes, and I love that too.
all
Like when
that.
I speak to like Indian immigrants and stuff like that, that's a big thing.
kinda
Like
thing.
auntie, and you're very respectful
What
to
do
these
you think
people.
that comes from? I mean,
I think that's a universal thing. It's just like mom, dad, auntie. Like there are those uncles, like aunties and uncles who are sort of the adults in your life who, whether they're related to you or not, have sort of a parental role.
who was that? And this is a random kind of like. So it reminds me of the fact of certain cultures being very big on like showing respect to elders, right? So like I know that was a big thing. Like we refer to our women elders, whether they're our mom's friends, so whether they're related or not, it's like auntie or whatever.
You have to put a handle on
You
it.
have to put a handle on it. And I want to say, I don't know if I was talking to you about this, but I was talking to somebody recently about why that might be. And it was something about, back in the South, like nobody, if you were like a grown Black person, like in the U.S. South, like people would never call you Mrs. or Mr. because those were formal. Like you have
that's
to
too much respect.
Yeah, it's too much respect.
You're still boy and girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Gal. It's like, what you want, gal?
Exactly.
It's like,
and I think that might be why specifically Black culture goes so hard, because at a certain time, like you can never get that title because it just showed too much respect. So it was like, no, I'm going to get respect where I can get it.
Every time. It's the same thing of like when you come into rooms and you acknowledge everybody.
Yes. Hello,
like
everybody.
there's certain cultures where like
you're rude as hell if you just walk up in there and just sit down and shit.
I feel like that's universal though.
I
like
agree.
to me that's one of the things I've enjoyed learning about Asian cultures, is because respect is valued so much, almost more than anything. I think we could use more of that in our society. It doesn't have to emulate it, but I think that I've been even in trying to use more formal terms for, even when I'm talking about celebrities, like not using their first name, just as a reminder that I don't know this person.
Really?
Yes.
Like what? Like
I mean, just like, name somebody. Like
Mr.
Like I was gonna say Will Smith. Like just calling him Mr. Smith, just as a reminder that I'm not really on a first name basis with him because I don't know that man. Like if you,
I mean, I could see that if you met him.
Yes,
but
especially if I met him. But also if in conversation, just as a reminder, because I think that we get things kind of fucked up. Like I was just listening to Neil Brennan's podcast, and he was talking about how all the statues we make need to be made of soap. Like, because we really don't need to venerate people as much as we do, because this hero worship that we do, we don't even know these people. You know, like really, we know their work. And I'm a big fan of admiring people's work. And I can be like, wow, this took a lot of skill, effort, craftsmanship. But I don't know that person. Like if I went into something and was like, oh, you must be amazing because your work is amazing. Not always.
Oh, I mean, a lot of times, hell no.
A lot of times people, their personality suffers as a direct effect from how much effort they're putting into their work, and they're not necessarily doing personal work. Yeah. So I think that's I like that about the Asians.
Oh wow. Are we allowed to say that? I don't know if that's. Guys, I feel like I just get a little nervous because I promise you we are old. And
no,
the thing is,
you can't say all the things, but yeah, as far as let's talk about.
Jeez, let's switch gears away from.
Sorry, but I mean that is something that if you read enough stuff from different cultures, like they're not going to disagree with you that respect is a big part of their.
As it should be too, though.
Yes,
I do
that's
think
what I'm saying.
That,
like there's a lesson
here for a certain amount of time does lend itself to
even
some
though
respect.
personal freedom is great. I love being an American.
Why not
and
both?
that's what I'm saying. Like there's it's called balance. Mm-hmm. Like there is a certain balance between my own personal desires and respecting the people and environment that I'm in.
Yes, I think that is
and that's what I'm trying to do.
At the end of the
so
day.
the first wait. Okay, so I pulled up these quotes.
Oh yeah, because so these are some quotes. So now are these from her?
This isn't from these are just Amy Tan quotes.
Okay.
But it gives you an idea of her thought process, because one of the things that impressed me most about her is her inner strength.
Okay.
And confidence in you'll see. Okay, so quote, "If you can't change your fate, change your attitude." End quote.
Whoa. Hit him, Amy.
Then you must teach my daughter the same lesson: how to lose your innocence but not your hope, how to laugh forever.
Damn.
End quote.
That was like tragically beautiful. Wow.
This is how she gets down. Quote, "In America, nobody says you have to keep the circumstances somebody else gives you." End quote.
Okay. Come through, Amy.
Oof. Oh, God. Okay, here comes.
Oh, no.
She's so poetic.
Do we need music for this one? Because it's so beautiful.
I might pipe some in.
Oh, my God.
Quote, "I did not lose myself all at once. I rubbed out my face over the years, washing away my pain, the same way carvings on a stone are worn down by water."
God damn.
End quote.
It's like my tears have washed me away.
Okay, and this is the last one. This is the last one. Quote, "You see what power is, holding someone else's fear in your hand and showing it to them." End quote. Yeah. So yeah, she's good at writing.
You're profound.
Yes, she has a way with words for sure. And one of the quotes at the beginning of this documentary was about her neediness to know.
"I am a writer compelled by a subconscious neediness to know, which is a perpetual state of uncertainty.
And I loved that so much because she was like, it's different than a need to know. She's like this insistent neediness to know these stories about her when she finally realized, like, I need to get to the root of why my mom the way she is. Because would you say her mom was abusive? Yeah. So she grew up with a suicidal, abusive mom and lost her brother and her dad very
Within, like,
quickly
6
from
months of
brain
each
cancer,
other.
like very quickly, and was kind of left with her mom, who was this very unstable, but also very practical at the same time. Like, that's the thing with human beings. They're very complicated. So, like, one of my favorite things from the book, they kind of glossed over it, was because her father wanted to be a preacher. And her mom was like, that'll make enough money. And so she's like, you need to stay an engineer.
Oh, wow.
And
well, she's never seen these mega churches maybe in the States.
Well, he wasn't that type of preacher. He wanted to actually help people.
Oh, that.
Yeah, that doesn't pay.
Damn, you're right. It is.
Those types of pastors don't make any money because they're too busy helping people for real.
Right.
So, and she wasn't trying to hear that. She was like, you need to stay an engineer because you gave me 3 babies.
And I left you for a rich motherfucker.
Well,
get back to that.
That story, well, let's talk about it.
Okay, let's do it. So,
Okay, because her mom was a rich bitch.
She was. It wasn't, so like, who was this man though? Like, I know that he was a man of position in Shanghai. He was like the richest person in their town or wherever
I've
the region.
only read fictionalizations about him because there is kind of like a brief glimpse of him in Joy Luck Club. Because I haven't read her actual memoir yet, like the true story. Like, I've only read her fiction, so I haven't read the actual memoir yet. But if you remember in Joy Luck Club, I can't remember which auntie it was.
How dare you?
Who was married to the rich dude who was cheating on her all the time and beating her and like just abusing her and like cheating on women in front of her all the time. And then she ended up drowning their son to punish him. Do you remember that?
I do.
Okay, so
right when you said it, I was like, "Oh yeah."
I think that character was based on Amy Tan's mother's first husband.
Yeah,
who was this very cruel, rich Chinese man that her mother ran away from, and spoiler alert, left her kids that she had with him in China.
Right, because she ended up having 4 kids with him, right?
I thought it was 3.
Well,
I think
of them
twins.
died, right?
She had twin girls and then I think a boy that died.
Oh, okay, so maybe
that of diarrhea is what she said.
Yeah. Which is a complication of most any, you know what I'm saying? But it was pretty clear that the guy didn't care about that.
Yeah, he didn't care at all. He told her like
care.
it was... It made a lot of sense that her mother was as broken as she was because of all the abuse she had suffered under this man.
And she was really young. I mean, like, she was a very young girl when she got thrusted into this very adult situation, by the way, too.
They didn't get into it as much in this documentary, but this was on an episode of NPR when she was being, let's say, interviewed by Terry Gross. Who knows? No one's going to check.
Fantastic.
I love Terry Gross. And Amy Tan was talking about how she asked her mom, she kind of grazed on this a little bit in the documentary, but she didn't tell the whole story, where she asked her mom, like, look, I'm in America. I'm not cute here. Would I be cute in China?
Heartbreaking.
And her mom was like, no. She was like
average.
No, you okay, but you're not beautiful. But she was like, don't try to be beautiful. She was like, being beautiful ruined my life. Like,
but I think that people who, okay, so like if you're not traditionally considered beautiful, the person you're saying that to is looking at you like, bitch, how you don't tell me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel the result of not being beautiful. And that also comes with some really fucked up baggage.
Stuff, right.
So it's all bad.
Right.
But I think it's hard to hear.
Also having your mom tell you to your face you're not beautiful.
I mean, that's worse than
where
everything.
You're supposed to be like, even if, once again, maybe it's like narcissism, but my children are gorgeous to me. Like, they're beautiful.
Should be, right?
Yeah. I'm like, I would never tell them. It's like, you all right? It's like, no. I'm like, you're this beautiful singular creation who's also getting on my nerves. But you're beautiful. Like, so when her mom told her that, but then from her mom's point of view, her mom's advice to her was get a good job so in case you ever have to leave your husband, you can bounce.
Take care of yourself, right?
And I was like, so your mom's not that crazy.
Yeah.
Like she had
because
some
that's
good...
survival, and she knows what it means to have to survive. Because she had
her
to do
mom
that.
was a survivor, and the fact that she explained that part of her learning to write and writing these stories was to prove to her mother that she had been listening to her.
Oh, it was so beautiful. Like that part got me too.
Because I'm like, wait, so you know how I am? Did you cry?
I could have.
So no, the answer's no. You did not cry.
I didn't, but if it was like the week before my period, I probably would have. Or something.
Okay, well, I'm just regular place in the calendar, and I cried like just a big dumb weakling when
That was very brave of you, friend, and very strong.
I was by myself. It wasn't brave. I was just crying and crying, watching when she was talking about the end of her mother's life. And sort of making amends, not amends, but you do have to, at a certain point, make peace with your parents. If you want to have a good life, make peace with your parents.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And it doesn't mean like letting them run roughshod over your life and saying any kind of crazy stuff. Because even in my own life, I still have to stand up to my parents. Like not my parents, my dad's dead, but my mom. You know, you still have to create and maintain boundaries. But when she was described, because, okay, let's get real for a second. So her mom had Alzheimer's. And right now I'm dealing with my grandmother having Alzheimer's, and it is hard. It is a long, hard, sad goodbye because you do get glimpses of who they really are. Like, it's such a cruel disease because they're confused and scared because they realize something's wrong, but they can't do anything about it. And it's this person who used to have this sort of all-powerful role in your life, and you see them crumbling slowly. But one day before, like a little bit before her mother died, she was like, Amy, she's like, something's wrong with my brain. And she's like, something's wrong with my mind. And I have to say this before, I lose it again. But I've done things to hurt you, but I've forgotten what they are.
Right, I don't even know what
so
they are.
please forget them the way that I've forgotten them. That's what I'm crying now thinking about it. I was like, wow, because she started crying because she was like, in that moment, it was just all gone.
Right.
And she was able to
move on
and kind of forgive her mother because what does it even mean now that this person who did these things and when she talked and I'm sure there's way more than what she talked about. That's how abuse works. Mm-hmm. You scratch the surface. What is there about that you always keep a little bit of it for yourself?
But maybe because you don't want to burden anybody with it, because you know how heavy it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, now I'm giving you this. It feels maybe a little selfish to be like, well, guess what? Guess what happened to me, goddammit. So now you have to relive all of the horrors.
True.
So maybe you're keeping some of it because you know how heavy it is and you're used to carrying it in a way.
True.
And so it feels... Some of it kind of maybe feels like this is mine. You know, you have some like ownership over it and some like... Yeah.
I think because of course we all have our relationships with our mothers and they're complicated. Mm-hmm. Mine was not this complicated or that difficult.
No.
And the fact that her mother was constantly threatening to kill herself and at one point even was going to kill her.
Yeah, that was crazy. So let's back up a little bit because we sped down the highway down to the end of Amy's mom's life. But at the beginning too, like, the very first scene of the documentary, she's like going through all of these fantastic images and you see pictures of her mom when she's young. And then she kind of takes you through her story, like how Kat mentioned before. Like,
did you see that mansion she was posted in front of?
Listen, I mean, like, we're talking
in
wealthy.
Shanghai.
What was crazy is that she wasn't a wife, though, of this man that she ended up marrying. She was a concubine. Like
that was her grandmother.
Oh, that was the grandmother?
That was the grandmother who was the concubine who killed herself. And that was kind of in Joy Luck Clue, but that was a different auntie that had happened to.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, which is crazy, but so you're taking her from her child when Amy's mom was basically a child bride, and married to this man, and the way she described it was like he was sexually abusive toward her, and she didn't have any autonomy, obviously. He didn't look at her as
she was saying like the laws in China around marriage, then she couldn't divorce him.
Right. So she basically escaped. I mean, like, at what point? Because where was she? How was it that she was able to do that? I forget how.
She started having an affair with Amy's dad.
But how? I mean, they didn't get to,
maybe if we read the memoir.
I know, damn. See, that's why y'all
maybe
gotta read
they'll
it too.
get, because this is the other thing. I think that I'm trying to think in my mind, if that had been my experience, would I share all that with my daughter? Would I give her all the details, really?
Not right away. I mean, like as time goes on.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some things that I think
They're
about even my
complicated.
mom's life. I don't even know if I want to know.
Oh, straight up.
Like, I was thinking about that on the way over here. Like, I was thinking about, like, do I really want to know why my mom left my dad? I'm like, no.
Well, because it's not going to change anything.
Right. Like, I don't want that knowledge.
Yeah.
So I think there might have been so many things about stories are fascinating by what's left out.
That's true. And again, maybe
Because that's usually linked to some kind of trauma because we do not want to talk
which
about
is why
it.
you keep some of it for yourself.
Yes.
Because it just feels like, damn, I can't, I don't want to necessarily
But
do that.
it does explain her fearfulness over Amy.
Oh, jeez.
Because she
100%,
talks about
yeah.
over and over again about how fearful her mother was over her. And that's something I could relate to because my mom was the same way. She just seemed incredibly paranoid to me. Now looking back, I was like, yeah, okay. That was about the right level.
Right, makes sense.
Makes sense.
Right, you clearly cared, so that's good.
Right. I would rather you care too much than not enough.
Yeah, that's true. And I think if you ask any child who had a parent who cared too much versus one that didn't care enough, the ones who say their parents cared too much probably,
Thriving a little more.
Yeah, they probably feel. I mean, and even if it's just in a mental health way.
Right.
Because I think that you can't contextualize your parents, like the way that they move when you're a child and how it feels to be solely responsible for this human soul. And it's like, what the fuck, man? Like how
Moni.
Like how am I supposed to
Look
be
me in the eye
life?
right now.
I can't know because I'm not looking at you. Matter of fact, I'm averting my eyes. I will not.
Look at me in my face right now.
No.
It's so hard.
Out the corner of my eye. It
like
is.
even now I'm like, you know what? The parents, they're just doing the best they can, but they're messing up.
All the time.
All the time. And so that's where the forgiveness comes in. But I'm
Yeah.
sorry, back to Amy.
Well, so basically her story was really.
wait, what's her mom's name? We keep saying Amy's mom.
God, you're gonna see.
They called her Auntie
You took
Daisy.
notes,
I don't
didn't
know.
you?
I don't know what her Chinese name was, but they called her
don't
Auntie
know.
Daisy in America.
Okay,
so
so
I'm going to
Auntie
call her
Daisy.
Auntie Daisy because that's
Out of
something I
respect.
can say respectfully.
Yes.
And I'm not great at sort of Chinese phonetics because they do have 4 tones in their language that I'm not familiar with. So the way you pronounce stuff does change the meaning. So I don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah, well, Auntie Daisy
Auntie Daisy I can handle. And
Yeah.
Auntie Daisy, even though with all her flaws, I respect her work because she produced Amy Tan.
Yeah, she did. And the part that I liked as well, too, so like after her brother and her dad died within 6 months of each other with brain tumors, did she see like a commercial? She saw like a random commercial or something about the Netherlands, and then she ended
Holland,
up,
yes.
yeah, like she ended up moving her whole
Dutch.
family
She was
there.
using a Dutch cleaner.
Okay, a Dutch cleaner, and then was like, you know what?
She's
They
like,
seem
Holland is clean. We're going there.
We're going there, and so,
And there are
Amy,
worse
as a
places
child,
to go than Amsterdam.
absolutely. But I mean, I feel like that's particularly traumatic when it's like you're already dealing with the loss of 2 people and then
Right.
your parent uproots you. But then it's like you have to understand where Amy's, Aunt Daisy was coming from. Like she was already mentally a mess. And then on top of that, you lose a child.
Because didn't she still have a younger brother?
Yeah, I believe so.
Because she
still
had her
a
older
sibling.
brother who was like the golden child, and he's the one who
course.
died of brain cancer
Right.
within months of the dad. And then the dad was the golden child of his family. Out of 12 kids, he was the oldest, and he was the most handsome, best English, most intelligent. Like he got the line. And it's kind of crazy too, because it's like, why take away my sane, intelligent parent?
It's like, so I'm stuck with this one. And I guess too, it speaks to the complexity of those relationships, because like as a kid, you're like, okay, so I just lost 2 of the most important, and you did too, but I think it's hard as a child to look at your parents as people at that point. You know what I mean? Like there are these entities that you know, and maybe she knew a little bit because her mom was on the fringes of her sanity or whatever, but
Right.
I just feel like, okay, wait, you're moving me across the ocean, you know what I mean, like to this place I don't know, and you're nuts and I'm stuck here with you.
And like, I'm not always completely sure that you're not going to kill me or yourself.
Because they had encounters like that where her mom
When she was talking about that, like it almost seems unreal.
her mom had a knife to her.
Yeah,
saying
she was
that-
like, "This
telling
is
her.
it." And she said, looking at her mom, she realized she had gone somewhere.
She's really
Because how did she get out of? Like she started screaming, "I want to live."
She's like, I didn't even. like she did not plan to say that at all. You know, she said she kind of in her mind thought like, yeah, I'm about to die right now, because I can see in her eyes she's not even fucking kidding right now, like she's dead serious. And she was like, my voice betrayed me when I said it, and I just kept saying it and it stopped. And so, I mean, to have those kind of interactions with your parent,
I don't want to be the thing, because I do have a lot of anxiety and fear for my children. I do. But I never want to be the thing that they're fearful or anxious about.
Right. On any level.
But at the same time, I think that made her so strong for the world, because she's like, look, I survived my mother.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I had my mother tell me I'm not cute and try to kill me. So try to hurt my feelings. Let's see what happens.
Can't do it. Okay. All right, skin of steel out here.
Right.
I mean,
because she is a very strong, like I said, I just ended up like,
anyway.
yes, the perception of Amy Tan and the example of her life to me is wildly inspiring.
Yeah.
And when she was talking about like, maybe I died in that accident. Like Kanye, I must have died in the accident because this must be heaven. Like she said, her life has felt like a dream.
You know what? That is interesting to me too, though, because I was thinking about the fact that, okay, so when Amy started writing, she made it seem like it was catharsis. Like she liked to draw and sketch, and she liked to write, and she was saying how it would transport her.
Oh yeah, she said fiction was safety.
Exactly. You get to like create this, you create this space, which
you're
is
not
why,
beholden to reality.
No, which is why you were saying too, and you've said before, like this, like, reading or writing is like transporting yourself
drawing
somewhere.
She was talking about drawing in her room for hours. Deeply relatable.
And it was for her. You know what I mean? It wasn't for anybody else. And that's, where she kind of found that sweet spot. That's how she was able to kind of write this book, or her first book, I'm sure all of them in a way, but the Joy Luck Club. But I think that it's weird to be thrusted, like to go from that place where you're writing for the catharsis to a place where now, so you write this book and it's like a bestseller, and you are her very first book, and it's like 40 weeks as a bestseller. Like that's fucking, like, that's insane.
Amazing.
And so now you're thrusted into this limelight, and that wasn't your goal necessarily. So I know it seemed like she struggled with that a little bit, because
she was waiting for it to all go away.
Because it doesn't.
But
seem
you
real.
kept being amazing, so it kept coming.
Right, and another one,
and another
DJ
one,
Khaled, that bitch,
and another one.
It's another one. But I also feel like there's that pressure now that people want to. So like now the narrative of who you are as a writer starts to come up, and it's like, Amy Tan, Asian American, like, so
icon.
Now you're icon, and now she's
role model.
Right, people start casting you in these roles that maybe you're not prepared for, and it's like,
she's not doing it right.
Right, like I don't want to speak for every Asian person. I don't want to speak like I'm not.
She's like, I'm Amy, y'all.
Yeah, like I'm just sharing part of my life experience. I think that's overwhelming. I think that could probably be a lot.
I actually put that in my notes. White people calling her racist because of what she wrote about. Like a lot of the criticism she got about her writing being stereotypical. With Asians talking in broken English and concubines killing themselves. She's like, well, I don't know what you want from me, bitch. This is my life. My mom speaks broken English. Her mother killed herself. Like, what do you... That's what happened.
All I can do is speak my truth.
And it's like, how dare you come at me? Because I'm like, what would I look like trying to tell Amy, really any Asian American person, like, you're not doing Asian right?
It's like, yeah, I don't know. This is not translating. Like,
I want to see something else. This needs to be more woke. And it's like, nah, you don't get to tell me how to tell my story.
Exactly. It's
like, I get to be Asian in this way. I get to be American in this way. I get to be female in this way. And even when she was talking about... just when she would just draw birds, like that's her thing that she does that creates value for herself. When she just sits and draws and doesn't even show anybody her drawings. It's not for display. Like when she said when her publisher asked her to make a drawing of a bird, maybe for like a book cover or something like that, and she wasn't able to do it.
See, why is that so relatable to me? I feel like I thrive so much more in any setting when I know there's
value
not this,
for yourself.
It is when it's not
and
this
it's
expectation.
Just for me. But that's not nurtured. Like the idea of creating value for yourself, doing what you want to do, creating a life that is valuable to you and not necessarily anybody else, that is not encouraged. I don't think in any culture.
You're right. I mean, and that's really what it comes down to.
Maybe Holland. Maybe they did that over there.
I don't know, man.
But I've never been there, so I don't know. But it doesn't... to me, it was deeply relatable because I am super happy for hours, especially when I was little, just for hours by myself drawing, because you create your own world.
Yeah.
And it is nice when it is your own private world that nobody else gets to go into.
Yeah.
Like there is something nice about that. So
yeah, I really like that. And I think that for the most part too, the Joy Luck Club to me, and I think like looking back now, probably was one of the more mainstream artistic endeavors that actually did attempt to highlight Asian American culture in a positive way, and you're not like some opium house, and you're not working on the railroad type shit. You know, it expanded Hollywood's depiction of Asian women and their culture and stereotypes to me, because even though it's like, okay, they spoke broken English, you saw them in scenarios that were so fucking relatable. You can see your family in these exchanges. You can see your lived human experience in these exchanges. And so I think that's why it ended up being like as popular as it was, because people just really could relate.
And the fact that it took so long to get another Hollywood produced all Asian cast film.
Oh my God.
Because I liked in the documentary as well, they interviewed Kevin Kwan, who is another author that I enjoy. He penned Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, shit. Yum. Wow.
So that was a very popular film, I read the books before I saw the film. I think I saw it at like Half Price Books, and it was on the $2 thing or whatever. And I liked the cover art, and it was like, oh, something Asian, cool. So yeah, and learning about the Crazy Rich Asians of Singapore and Hong Kong, and but he was just talking about Amy Tan's influence in his, life as well. Wow. But that basically between when was Crazy Rich Asians?
I'm just gonna throw a guess out here.
Okay, I feel like it was 2017, 18.
I'm gonna say 18.
Okay, when that came out. So basically from
2018.
2018. Yep. Okay, so from 1993 to 2018, there were no all Asian, like American produced films.
That's crazy. And what's funny is that you get studios with people who aren't Asian or of color saying like, I don't know, guys. I don't think this is going to translate. Like, you can't tell me that there weren't things that weren't pitched. You know what I mean? Because a good story is a good story.
Aziz Ansari brought that up, too, because he was trying out for something, and they were like, oh, we already have an Indian dude. It's like, well...
Bitch, ain't me.
It's like, so you can't have two Asian dudes? It's like, no!
We can have all the white people that your heart are content.
Then it's an Indian film. It's like, what? No, I think it would just be a film with two Indian dudes, but whatever.
Yep. It's really messed up.
It's super dumb. But like, yeah, the fact that it took so long, even though it's not like Joy Luck Club flopped.
Man, no. It's still, even now, if
it still holds up. Why did I want to go and watch it yesterday? But it was like, I would have had to pay to watch it. And I was like, I have it on DVD, so I'm just going to watch it on DVD tonight.
I did look for it because I was telling my grandma about it, because you guys may not know this about me, but for years I did nails. I was a nail tech for like 10 years, and I can't retire mainly because of my grandma. And she comes over
grandma to the salon.
Yeah, so I do her nails and stuff, and I was sharing with her. Shout out to Gigi. Yeah, shout out Gigi, She I was just sharing with her because she was saying she was, she had already done her yard work, and now she was getting her nails done, and she was going to chill. And I was like, yeah, you should watch this documentary. It's really good. And I was telling her about it. And, I don't think that she remembered the Joy Luck Club, but I think she liked the idea of it being like this, mother. It's not just that. It's not just that, because I'd hate to reduce it to just, it's about mothers and daughters. It's about, relationships. It's about love. It's about the complexity of just interpersonal relationships, especially in families. And it's about
did you ever see
your loved
Spanglish?
Ones for who they are.
The movie Spanglish?
I did, because I was... that's the one with the weird guy, man.
Adam Sandler?
Yeah, like in every other movie, he's the same person that gets on my nerves.
He's not an actor. He's just doing himself.
Did pretty good in there.
It was good. It was a good movie.
I like that
one.
one.
But I liked it, too, because it's the same thing of sort of that immigrant experience, especially when raising a daughter. And I like the line that she
You remember a line?
Yes.
Just off top?
Yes. When the mother was talking to the daughter, and she was like, is what you want to be is something so very different than me? And that's like, sort of like, and like I said, that's universal. It goes
sometimes
beyond.
Yes, though. I think at first, I don't know why a daughter's reaction is like, I don't want to be like this lady.
Right?
She seems fucking nuts.
This is the crazy lady who lives in my house who's always trying to fuck up my good time.
Right. And you just, again, like you just don't realize it. But the beauty in these stories is like that archway where you see each other. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, I see you.
Well, that was the crying scene in Joy Luck Club when she was like, June, I see you.
I see you. And it's like,
and that's when I would always just be weeping and say, it hurt me, mommy. It hurt me.
Like, I know I didn't mean it.
It's like, but yes, that sort of, well, I wrote it down as fear, shame. Because even Amy Tan said when she was like in, white schools, like she didn't want her mom bringing Chinese food up to the school.
It's like, please don't, Mom. They're going to smell the spices.
It's like, could you please just
They're
be normal sauce?
Chinese.
It's like, I just want
bring
to
me
fit
chicken
in.
nuggets like everybody
and she said she was so
else.
relieved, like on her birthday when her mom would just bring the cupcakes and stuff like
Right.
that. Like it was just
Wasn't
this
like
sort
moon
of
pies and shit like that, which seemed delicious. I've never actually had one.
okay, like, but now that
they
kind of
seem
stuff
cute
is
and
like
nice.
everybody wants the exoticness of it and all that
Yeah.
other kind of stuff. But it
But
is that
hits,
sort
though.
of
That slaps because I understand. I understand that you don't want your mom and all of her pride and love and shit showing up with fucking
embarrassing you. It's like, I'm trying to make them forget I'm Chinese.
Go. I had
Chill
some
out.
egg. That's my story.
It's like chill, but it's
Aw.
but that's the beauty of it. Like there's even a beauty in the pain of it because it's so relatable where it was just like, oh my goodness, like I'm rejecting the love of this person who is literally dying a little inside because they're so scared of what could happen to me. And I think the reason why Joy Luck Club works so well because I think every mother has that fear for their children. But when it goes from a woman to their daughter, because you know how dangerous this world is for women. And even though we live in a relatively safe society, when I dedicated this to Afghan women, that's a very real fear.
Right.
And a lot of times they get you reproducing before you can even process your situation. So I love that her mom was like, don't tell anybody, don't let anybody tell you have to have babies. You don't. Don't let anybody tell you that you have to get married. You don't. Don't let anybody, you make sure you have a good job and can take care of yourself, like really pushing independence. Like, and the fact that she wanted to make sure that she let her mom know, like, I heard you.
Right.
And that's the thing, too. The advice I always give to my daughter is listen. Like in any environment that you go into, listen.
Right. Please do more listening than you do talking. Love.
Please. And she
Yeah.
loves to, I mean, you can obviously tell from this podcast, we love to talk.
I mean, it's my
I pass
favorite.
that on. My daughter loves to talk. But what's way more important than talking is listening. And it is a fear. I have a lot of fears for her. Like when she goes out and it's hard. But at the same time, I have to remember, like, you know what? I'm okay. You know, like
I've made it this far.
I've made it this far.
Being somebody's daughter.
I'm trying to make her into a better version of me. So I have to have that trust in her.
It's hard, but just to your point about listening, I think that was the point where Amy realized, when she was like, when I was finally ready to sit down with my mom and really truly just stop talking and start listening, that was the point where she was able to really see her mom. And I just thought that was a really beautiful point about, it's easy to write your parents off, especially when you feel like maybe they've wronged you in some kind of way. And
Which they have.
obviously, they've wronged themselves. They've wronged, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like
it's
there's
a
no
whole
way to
thing.
get out of it. Like there's no perfect way to parent.
No.
So yeah, I've told my kids a million times, you got to forgive me.
Yeah, man.
And the sooner the better.
Well, they don't have to. They should.
Well,
it's
if
like,
they
I
want a
you
good
to.
life, they need to.
Yeah,
I
it's
noticed
true.
my
It does
life
take you
started
there.
getting better when I forgave my parents. When I started holding them up to this standard of they're supposed to have done everything
You were
right by my.
supposed to- yeah, and it's
you
like,
should
yeah.
have done this. Well, you know what?
Man.
Maybe she was tired. You know what I mean?
And not for nothing, y'all. Tiredness is something. The experience of being tired as a parent is something that. I don't know that I've ever experienced the
Maybe
depths.
exhaustion is a better word.
God damn. I mean, I'm talking about, I have never
I've been
this
tired. Like, I'm
I've been
tired right now.
Sure. Oh, I've got bags.
I'm tired right now.
And
But when
everything.
I get to exhausted,
It's how much can I really do? How productive, how effective can
and
I truly
I forgot
be?
to say this earlier when you were talking about your grandmother.
Yeah, she's lovely, by the way.
Gigi, she has been such an inspiration to me.
Man, she's
And
out
like
here.
goals, you know what I mean?
She's
And a
totally
lot
goals.
of like, of course, now that I'm getting older, I'm observing older people more
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, yeah, I want to look forward to my future. She's goals. We'll
No,
just say
she
that.
is, and it's funny because when I was talking to her yesterday, she was saying how So my grandma's 85, and she's still beautiful. Like in a way that you look at her and be like, yeah. Like I know she was like, yeah. But what's funny is that how we talked about how we keep our pain to ourselves, how we keep some of our trauma for ourselves. She's like, people come up to me all the time and tell me, oh my God, like you look so good and you're still so healthy and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, but looks can be deceiving. Like I hurt, like I have pains, I have aches, but I don't always display them. I'm not always talking about them.
She's She's so polite
right here. Right, because she understands that it doesn't add any value to your life for me to tell you how fucked up my back feels when I wake up in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Or how hard it was for me to fucking get all my stuff done. At the end of the day, she knows it has to get done, and
but
she pushes
presents
through.
so well.
She does.
Like she's sewed together from head to toe.
You're like, clearly
so you never even know.
This is easy for you.
So you must be having a super easy life.
God,
it's like,
yes.
But now that I have a little more life under my belt, I know that that's not what that means.
No, it doesn't.
That means that you are brave.
Yeah.
Like you were like, you know what? I'm going out into this world again, and I'm putting my bead on, and I'm going to go out here and slay.
Yep.
Like
that's what I'm doing.
So, and that's
I like it.
We should have dedicated
Cheers
this to
Listen,
Gigi.
let's take it back. I want to dedicate, and I've already dedicated an episode to her. She deserves all the dedications.
She does.
She's
and
a real
once
one.
again,
So cheers to you,
and I'm
Gigi.
really appreciative to her because that's how I got you. That's
yes,
how I got
You're
your
welcome.
mom and your brothers. Like
True
she's
that.
a big part of that.
Yeah, she is.
And I get that and I understand that now. So yeah, she's definitely a gift.
Yes.
And I'm glad that even before my grandmother started having dementia, I got to appreciate her. Mm-hmm. And because to me, I thought she did have an easy life because she's an easy person. Like she's easy to get along with. She was so sweet and stuff like that. And then when I think about the stories that she's told me, and I was like, no, she has not had an easy life.
Like, wow.
That was my hubris in thinking that I'm the only one going through stuff, so that's why I have problems.
And that's the beauty of understanding that just because I make some shit look easy doesn't mean it's not. And that goes kind of back down to like celebrity culture too. Like a lot of times, and we've talked about this before, like you observe these situations and you see the end result. You don't see the pain. You don't see the grind. You don't see the burn. You don't see, the blood, sweat, and tears that led this person. The failures, which make you who you are though, which actually, that's what you're born from. That's what you rise up from. And that's how you become whatever it is that, is your mantle in life. But I do think that, it is especially beautiful to observe people who do it in a way that's like, God damn, like you're inspirational. I
mean, it looked like you're gliding out here.
Like, damn.
Like, this looks like you're doing this on an easy level,
like,
but you're really on expert.
I'm on expert level, and that's why it looks like this. So please, don't ever get it misconstrued. I think that, like, just going back to that respect element, too, you have to respect people's journeys and respect what they've been through to get to where they are and stop this complex of like, oh, they're rich, they're famous, they're this, they're attractive, they're, whatever that title that you're giving them. It's like, man, if they're out here making it look easy, trust and believe there was a lot of hurdles probably to get to that point.
It's just like ballet dancers.
Oh my God, yeah.
They make it look so prancy.
Oh, girl, I wish I would get up on my tippy toes right now. Are you fucking kidding me?
They make it look so like, and they're just smiling and gliding, and it's like, Misty Copeland. I hope we get to read her book at some point because she talked about how, like, when she was doing her performance
Misty Copeland? She's that
black ballerina.
Yeah. Google her.
The black ballerina. The black ballerina.
Right.
She danced on stage with Prince. But I remember in her book, she talked about when she was doing a performance of Firebird, and like she landed on her, she landed and like basically broke her shin bone or something like that and kept dancing.
She was like, I can't stop for this, right? Like, I'm a professional, right? She's not going to get my shine. I've worked my whole life for this. I'm about to prance and dance with Priyanka.
Dance on this broken bone.
Wow.
And that's with a smile.
With a whole smile for the opportunity. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's something to be said for the resilience of,
females are strong as hell.
Females and just people in general. You know what I mean? Like, there's
so all the survivors of the world.
Like, just because we're highlighting women, we're speaking from a woman's point of view. We're not shitting on men. Men have it hard too. We just aren't talking about them right now. So they have to wait their turn. Okay.
Oh, wait. What about the fact when she started, or I don't know if she started it, but she was in an all-author band? like rock
Oh,
band.
that was cute.
That was super cute. And the
That was
fact that
cute.
she loved it because there was no expectation.
That was like her
Because that is
therapy,
the
her
thing too. Like, because what do
catharsis.
you do if like out the gate your first album is Thriller?
I know, man.
Like, what do you do after that? Like,
It's because you feel like, damn, it's more likely that there's somewhere down to go than up.
and I think that for her books, I don't think the quality ever went down, but I think the hype went down
Oh, maybe.
because she'd already kind of splashed onto the scene. And
Well, and I think that, she did kind of.
I would also go to say, I think she is beautiful. Like, even though her mom was like, you're not cute. We see
I'm not saying she's not, but so the thing is like, what is beauty though, right? Like, it's so
to
fucking
me,
subjective
she's
anyway.
beautiful.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
people,
Personally, when I'm looking at her, she's very symmetrical,
Yeah.
high cheekbones,
Yeah, man.
styled to death.
Yeah.
Like she's, once again, which I feel is a type of politeness because she's like, you know what, you don't have to look at my mess today.
Right, I'm gonna clean it up for you guys.
I'm gonna clean it
Unlike
up for
what
you.
I did today, I have on scrubs. Kat came in
No,
here with
you
a cute
still
little
look
outfit. And
amazing.
do I?
Like
Okay,
that's the
great,
thing.
thanks.
Like because it's I don't
Thanks.
just because I know what the work of. Okay, so let me describe
your
how Moni
time,
looks
Church.
because
Take your time.
she has
No.
on scrubs, but even that is a good like fashion
I look-
choice. So people know you have a job.
That is very true. I do.
So they know you have
I
a
work
job
full-time.
and you're out here working hard because you don't have scrubs because you're out here doing like little piddly diddly work.
That's
they put
true.
you in scrubs because you're
It's
working.
like, hey, you gonna be doing stuff.
You're going to be doing stuff, so we're going to have to put you in some easy to wash material.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're getting dirty.
But your hair is done. Your
It-
eyebrows
it's
are
true.
done. Your
It is.
skin is clear. Like these
I
are all
mean,
things that take
thank
a
you,
lot
friends.
of work. Like
Thank
even though it
you.
looks real, even though it looks like super. I was thinking the other day about like how like hard it takes to look super baseline.
Just to look normal.
Like just
Especially when you're not like 18 anymore.
as opposed
It's
to
like,
how I
God
look
damn.
like when I'm out walking my dog.
Right, for
With
sure.
my head wrap on.
Glasses,
Like
with
I
the
was out
whole-
this morning, like looking right,
I
like
see, this was my effort not to look too bad because actually, as soon as I woke up, I rolled out of bed like, okay, you got to go grocery shopping.
you have to.
And everybody was
Before
still
it gets
asleep.
busy.
And right before all the discuss, So I was like, what can I put on and still look respectable and not look like shit? Boom, the scrubs.
The
and so I've had them on
scrubs.
ever since because the grind never stops.
It doesn't.
And it's still happening. So, but yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for people who make their
and her
jobs look easy.
husband. Because she's been married, and good for her for finding a husband before she popped off. I feel
Amen
like
to that.
that's-
Yeah, that's
I think
nice.
that's always a great idea
Finding
to
a
find a
spouse
spouse
before you- yeah,
before you blow
before you
up.
blow
That's
up.
the move, and keeping that spouse.
Yeah, man.
And he's
it's possible, right? Like,
well,
I mean,
and here's
you hope
that.
that's
Because I pointed this out too, because he was featured a little bit in Joy Luck Club because there was the character who married sort of the publishing empire magnate or whatever, and his parents were like, "Oh, Vietnam was so unpopular," and
even though you're not Vietnamese, we're super
still,
ignorant.
yeah,
and we
she's like,
don't
I'm
wanna-"
American.
Right.
And so that was lightweight based on his parents. And it was interesting when he was being interviewed for the documentary, he was like, he didn't want to call his parents racist.
Even though
They are.
were,
Because
are
it's like, what
probably.
do you, I mean, they're probably still fine parents and people, but they're
Yeah.
racist as well.
Yeah.
Like, we can't just act like,
Because I know people who I love 100% that I'm like, you are problematic as fuck when it comes to these
Homophobia,
things.
for instance.
Homophobia is real bad. You know what I
yes.
mean? You know,
I was talking to
real,
your
real
brother
bad.
about
Real,
that
real
because
bad.
he was like disappointed in a family member being homophobic. But I'm like, what do you expect?
Yeah,
like,
man.
he's like in his
He's
70s.
old,
Like, what do you
antiquated.
and think of what they've been fed? Like,
Yeah.
and in my own family as well. Like, I'm like, we just can't talk about this.
Well, and this person, and not for nothing, like we did, and this is a sidebar, because he knows this because I had this person on speakerphone and we were talking, and he made this comment that I immediately stopped the conversation. Like, yeah,
This is
I
what we're
don't
not gonna do.
Yeah, like, why do you feel like you have to go out of your way to disparage somebody who
Just
you
know I'm not gonna
think
agree with
is
you on
right,
this.
that you think is
And you have plenty of
homosexual.
people to talk about this
You're
with.
not with me though, love.
but
we're
no,
not
I'm
doing
not
that. Yeah.
the person who's going to be
'Cause
gay
I don't feel
bashing
the
with
need to
you.
do that. Yeah, I
No.
don't feel the need to do that. Like, I don't feel the need to protect, myself against somebody who I deem to be maybe homeless. Like that, I'm not. They're not a threat to me.
You're not worried about getting
Or
all
to
that
you,
gay all on
actually,
you?
Nah, not really. I would hope that some of it sprinkles on me, some of the, like some of that fun, like to me, there are worse things that can happen to you than you come in contact with somebody who happens
But
to be gay.
of course, like, I understand, and this was a part of sort of forgiving people.
Sure.
Is that
there has to be some context assigned, I think.
exactly. It's like I can't hold you to this standard, obviously.
Because you're not meeting it.
Because you're not meeting it. However, just know a boundary with me is you can't gay bash around me.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
And I don't feel bad about it because I have plenty of people in your life you can gay bash with.
For sure. And the thing is that I would actually encourage you to just not do that in general. I can't control that, but I do feel like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you can control is what you do with me,
right.
what you
That's
can't
all
do.
I'm saying, but I'm also encouraging you outside of this to maybe not, because it's making you look real crazy.
It's not a good look.
It's not. It doesn't
I understand,
endear.
like in your generation, like this was a way to virtue signal about what a good person you
Right,
are,
and how
because
super straight
the
you are,
only
et
sex you
cetera.
have is reproductive.
Right.
But
Fuck out of here.
and what a
outta
virtue that is,
here.
because obviously there aren't enough people.
God.
But
Oh my goodness. Right.
Yes,
No, I feel you. I feel you. I'm with you,
I
friend.
feel like this is a really important intergenerational conversations
It
about
is.
how, because you don't have to necessarily cut people off. You
don't.
just have to create boundaries.
And what I likened it to for them as well, because it's so cute and funny to me how, like, you'll talk to, being a Black person in America, we get all in our feelings about, say you have friends who aren't Black and they're telling you, oh, they have family members who are, super racist, and they make these comments. My thought would be like, so do you say something? You know what I mean? Do you call them out when they're saying it? And sometimes the answer is like, nah, like, I mean,
I don't want to make it weird.
You know how Uncle Tim is. It's like, nah, but we're not doing it. I do know how Uncle Tim is, but I'm also going to say something to Uncle Tim, because this might be the only person in their life who actually loves them, who is willing to say, like, hey, that ain't cool though. Like, I understand that, like, you grew up in a different time and you're still in this antiquated moment where you feel like that's cool, but times are changing and people don't speak like that. And you don't even do that around people who you feel comfortable with, because that's usually when you're saying that shit. Because he even made that point to me, like, well, I wouldn't say that, like, in front of him. Why wouldn't you? Because it's fucked up. So don't say it around me. Like,
to quote Harlem Nights, it's a new day, motherfucker.
it's a new day. God damn it. Put that little clip in there.
Right.
That was good. That was a great movie.
And that
It's
goes
a
to show how
oldie but goodie.
stupid critics are, because that was panned
Man,
by
that movie
critics.
was
That movie
fantastic,
still
man. That's a
holds
fucking
up.
classic.
It's still so
Middle fingers
funny.
to
Might watch
anyone
it
who doesn't love
tonight.
it. It's so good. But yeah, so anyway, I do, like, that is, for me, yes,
Yeah.
if I'm having conversations with people, no matter how I look at them and how much I love them, if I feel like they're saying something, I do think it's our job to call them out, because it is no different than that racist cousin who's saying stuff and you don't say anything, and then you wonder why people are shitty, or why and then they can still call ignorance. It's like, well,
Right.
I didn't
know.
No one ever
It's like, no one ever told me
Bitch,
better.
no, I told you, and you still decided to be a piece of shit. So that's on you now. So yeah. Anyway, I digress, but it does kind of give you some context for dealing with. So not only that, I do think that when you're dealing with people from, so like if it's a mother-daughter relationship or a granddaughter, when you have that generation between you, that lifetime between you, there are certain things that do get lost in translation.
Oh, definitely.
So, that's an important point to make, because I think that is why sometimes, there's this disconnect. There's this, it's not always easy to understand where they're coming from. But even though that gap is there, you do still have to listen. You do still have to try to be, especially when there's love there, be patient and listen to those people.
I still
and give
try
them
to
some
hear the
grace.
game.
Yeah.
Because even with my mom, I love you, Mom.
Love you,
And
Mom.
my grandmother, love you, Grandma. My aunties, love you, aunties.
I love her too.
Yes,
She's
there's all this
fantastic.
wonderful beautifulness, but there's moments where they're like,
Well, and understand you have those moments too. Don't you
yes,
want grace?
exactly.
When you're not moving in the space of your,
I always use that
fullness?
example of
For
like
real.
a former classmate I had who was younger than me, who pointed out that I was using problematic language.
Nice.
And he did it in a nice way.
Because there is a way to do it nicely.
There is. And I was like, ooh, and I'm embarrassed. So it's
Right.
just a moment to be like, ooh, I'm embarrassed because like I made a faux pas. But you know what? I thank you for the correction.
Boom. And that's where you should be able to be, especially when it's done in a way that somebody's trying to spare you the embarrassment, but they also are like, you're such a lovely person.
I don't want to hear this coming from
yeah,
you.
it's like, this is really
And I'm like,
kinda
you know what? I I can find other words to use. I know
I'm not invested in it.
all the words.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not so invested.
Well, not all of them, but I know so many of the words. I can find different words for this. So thank you, because when I was growing up, that wasn't problematic, but I understand that it is now.
Yeah,
And I understand why. Thank you for teaching me the why of it as well.
Yeah.
And being open to that. So I always want to keep that. I feel like the most interesting people are always open to that. And I think that is what I enjoyed about Miss Tan.
Yeah.
Or like I said, I keep calling her Amy
excuse
Tan like I
me.
know her.
Well,
I don't know
should.
this lady.
No, I don't know
I'm
her,
just
but-
very familiar with her work, and I like it. And I liked this documentary where she was generous
like
enough
it.
to open up about her life because she didn't have to.
Nah, man.
But it shines a
Deeply
light
personal.
on why her work is so good,
Yeah, man.
because her work was an act of love to understand her mother more.
Oh, and what a beautiful place to be at. You know what I mean? I think, if you can step inside those spaces where you are truly open to listening and understanding like a person's story, especially when it's somebody like your mom or your parent. If you can do it, I think it is nice. I feel like I always want to push back every time you're like, you have to forgive your parents. Like, I hear you say that because, I don't know, I'm one of those people that when it's like you have to, anytime I hear the have to part, it's like, bitch,
I ain't got to
do
do
it.
nothing but stay black and die.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, just to be contrary. But, like, also, I do see the value in that. And again, like, when you choose joy actively and willfully, like, there is some of that happened. Like, you kind of have to be like, okay, pipe down a bit and maybe just listen a little and try to find, that common ground or whatever.
It's
But
always better.
it is.
Forgiveness
It
feels better than resentment.
It does.
It's just
Sometimes, though,
resentment feels great,
it
though.
can. I know. I hate to say it.
I'm just saying forgiveness feels better over the long run.
Thank you. At first, that other shit to
Resentment
me be
is
feeling like a
sweet,
hit of
though.
crack. How I
It's like,
imagine it. It's like, man, right? Because it's like, yes, I get to lash out. I get to have all these angry feelings, and also it gives me this point of superiority over you too, and it doesn't necessarily acknowledge maybe where you can make some changes and where you could show some grace. So, it feels good at first, but over the long term, I do have to agree, friend, that you're right.
And honestly, you're going to get to the end of your
Womp
life,
womp.
and whether or not you have like hereditary dementia, like I might end up having, but like I said, I'm going to make my dementia work for me. I'm going to think I'm going to
work that dementia.
I am going
Girl, work.
I told my kids already, I want you to put me in a home. I want it to look like the Starship Enterprise.
Goddamn.
So I think I'm like on the Enterprise.
You
I
can
want to
be
think I'm in Starfleet.
Uhura.
We are going to make it work, okay?
Damn.
Like, we're going to make it
Wow.
work for me.
Man.
But like,
maybe
when-
they'll have some kind of virtual, like some artificial intelligence programs that you can like put old people in. You know how like you'll say your grandma
That was also
like,
in
will be
Black
in her
Mirror.
garden. Was it?
Moni,
I don't remember this. Okay, goodbye. So I'm really bad at
That was
recalling
pretty much
details.
like Black Mirror was its
and-
own universe. So in
I
the
liked
universe
that
of
one.
Black Mirror, they would put old people. What was I don't know, remember the name of the
Damn
episode.
it, and I know I probably saw it because I'm pretty sure I
They would
watched all of them.
they would put old
Here I
people
am thinking I'm the original.
who were like or people who were like paraplegic and couldn't move anymore. They would put them in these simulations
Where they can move their
where their
legs?
consciousness were young and they could like have these experiences.
Oh wait, I remember now.
But that
remember.
also to me seemed like almost a type of
it
hell
mean?
because it never stops. Because at a certain point, like I do feel this is. I feel like death is a gift at a certain point. Like
I
at
feel that.
Yeah, like at a certain point, you
Wait,
kind
so
of
they indefinitely were in these things?
Yeah.
They did never die?
like you're in a server as long as you can be in a server.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I just meant like for a little while. But I don't know. I guess when
Well,
do you
that's
say you
how
don't
they
wanna
did
die?
it in the nursing homes. Like you would, the way they worked it was that you could only spend there was a limited amount of how much time you could spend in the simulation. But there was a procedure where they could do where you could permanently go into the situation. Like if your body was about to give out, you could choose that. And the character in the show didn't want to do it because her husband had died and wasn't able, before they were able to have this technology. And she was telling her lover, it's like, well, you want to do this thing where you don't even understand the connection I have with this other person.
Right,
like I vowed to die with him. And it's like,
Were those two ladies?
yeah, this was
remember
when
that.
they were yes,
I
it
remember
was
that. Listen,
I feel
oh my God,
bad.
so
I'm
old.
gonna add this in later what the name of the episode was because it was saying some. It was lovely, but it was this idea of would I want to live forever, like just as consciousness and not a body?
I mean, who's to say that doesn't happen anyway? I mean, I don't know.
Fair.
But let's not do that.
Okay.
We ain't got to do that. I'm just saying, we don't know what the fuck happens. I'm one of them people. I don't know what goes on.
Fair.
I
think at a certain person, at a certain point, I say that, but
Season 3.
yeah, it does seem like that.
Season 3, episode 4, San Juan Apparel.
San Junipero. Thank you. I knew it was saying something.
First of all, the fact that he came through with the
Thank you, sir.
so quick.
Thank you for the
I'm
correction.
still Googling like the Black Mirror episode.
No, I wasn't even going to try
Wow.
it.
I
Thank
was
you.
trying. I don't know
Yes,
why.
that was a fantastic episode about the emotions around consciousness and disembodiedness.
Well, I
and
just, I
whether
guess
whether you would want to live forever in
That's
a
what I was gonna
paradise, does
say.
at a certain point paradise become a hell?
Paradise just become right. Anything repetition and shit is crazy.
I don't watch American Horror Story because I like sleeping at night.
That's the hell.
American
That's hell in American Horror Story.
Horror Story.
We live the same experience. Everything.
Yeah, whenever
That
it
happens
doesn't
in Loki
stop.
too.
Yes.
Like he would put you in those little time
Yes.
dilations where it's
And-
like you have
and
to keep
actually to
reliving
bring
these
everything
moments.
back to
Let's
Rick
do
and
it.
Morty.
Nah. Rick and Morty. Who?
Because
what?
that's basically what Rick has done to himself. He's put all these safeguards where he can't even kill himself.
Really?
Like there's a fan theory that what Rick is ultimately trying to do now is kill himself because he's given himself a godlike
motherfucking
status.
tired.
Yes, at a certain point, like he's
Mm-hmm.
trying because he has all these safeguards from trying to keep from dying that he's made himself immortal. And now I remember this from like I was into vampire stuff before it was cool, so I used to read the Vampire Diary, like the Anne Rice Vampire Diaries, like
Anne
Interview with
Rice
a
is
Vampire
good.
and stuff like that. And what you learn is eternal life becomes a hell.
Because it seems like it would be.
Yeah, at a
Everybody
certain
I love
point, all these
leaves.
vampires just try to figure out how to kill
It's
themselves.
like, how do I just die now? Like, this is because reparations is rest.
Rest is reparations. Yes, at a certain point, you're like, okay, I think I've gotten to the end of this.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think that, at some point, you just want to be able to say, you know what, I'm done.
For sure.
For whatever this portion of, life is. But, okay, so then, would you say that you enjoyed this documentary overall?
Deeply.
Yeah.
It
too.
made me want to read some more of her books.
For sure. I need to read at least one. I haven't read one. So.
Well, that's
No,
coming
I just
up,
saw
people.
I just saw the movie.
You just saw
a
the
long time ago. Yeah.
Her books are beautiful.
Yeah, I can imagine just hearing her speak in the documentary. I was like, "Oh wow!"
Her
I should have taken notes. But
her books are amazing. She's amazing.
yeah, she's really beautiful and very
And once again the
profound.
the being true to herself throughout everything takes an immense amount of strength and bravery, and that's what I admire about her. Because obviously, I don't know her, never met her, just familiar with her work, but her work has enhanced my life so much that I feel grateful.
That's what's up. Let's hear it for gratitude. Yay!
Yay! Your attitude.
Ooh, yes.
It helps to stave off
Awesome.
depression.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And so if you had to rate this book, I don't even have a cute rating for this. I could try to come up with something really quickly here, I suppose.
I don't want it to be like like
anything
stereotypically Asian.
Jeez, I know.
Even
Well,
though we did, like our snacks today were egg rolls.
I feel like they're almost always egg rolls, though.
But our drinks were cocktails owned by a female-owned company. They're not giving us money, but I shot them out. Buzz balls.
Man, they're strong as fuck too.
They
though, y'all.
are.
This is 15%. No wonder I'm sitting here like they're tiny. Hold up, I'm gonna take a picture of this. I'm gonna have to post this on our Instagram.
No,
You
not
guys
until they
can follow
pay
us
us.
on Instagram.
I'll shout them out. I'm not
Okay,
giving them
fine.
pictures
That's true.
until
That's true.
And they should want to give us money because we're women-owned as well.
That's facts.
That's facts.
We'll reach out
But
to you
like,
guys with
yeah,
the
they
proposal.
were super tasty and cute too.
They are so cute. They're like little, they are balls. Like
balls.
the cute kind. Not
And
the
I know
yucky
how much you
kind.
love balls.
I said not the yucky kind because you know how I feel about balls. I fucking hate balls.
balls.
But these kind are good. These are nice.
So yeah, this was just.
Well, I'm gonna give her.
I'm gonna give her 5 buzz balls.
Boom. 5 buzz balls to you.
5 buzz balls to Amy Tan. 5 buzz
Miss
balls
Tan, Mrs.
to the
Tan.
Unintended Memoir.
Yeah, man.
5 balls to the inspiration to pursue your dreams. Your life can be a dream. She hated her job before. She was doing business writing for IBM. She said she had written a bestseller before Joy Luck Club.
Right,
And it was that
boring as
IBM
fuck.
manual.
Right. Ew.
And she was like, this isn't feeding me. I want to do. She said writing was originally supposed to just be a hobby. Does that sound familiar?
It does. This is just supposed to be a hobby. We're hoping to. You know
I can't
what?
wait till you quit your job.
Me either.
And
I actually
shout
don't
out
hate
to my
job.
cousin. I'm not going to put her whole name out here who's quitting her job. She saved up enough to just parent for a year.
What?
Which is enough work. She was telling me how she's like, I cannot go for for
what they're
one,
paying me.
her supervisor wouldn't let them work from home, even though it was a pandemic.
Are you serious?
And because I was reading an article about how working from home has been amazing for the mental health of, especially of Black women, because so many of our supervisors use us as their therapists.
Oh,
And she was like,
wow.
I'm sick of hearing about all these minutia. Have you watched White Lotus on HBO? That's
I
like the
haven't
big
watched
thing
shit.
right now.
I haven't watched a goddamn
That's fair.
thing, except for Amy Tan's
thank you for
documentary.
watching.
How
Thank
about
you for
that?
taking time out for that, for this. But White Lotus has been, and it's a big thing about how, like, one of the themes is about how people of color are used as therapists so many times for white people. And it's like, that's not my job.
Leave me alone.
I'm already doing a job I'm being underpaid
almost
for.
choked because I was like almost late to. We did this. We had a Juneteenth celebration thing at my job. I'm part of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, whatever. So I had like a little part where I had to do this, read us, not the whole speech, but part of one of Michelle Obama's speeches. And I'm like trying to finish a patient. I have one of the PAs, which is a physician's assistant, come in here venting to me about, you know, something with her. I think she's married to somebody, a non-white person. Like her husband's non-white, she's white. And she was just going on and on and on about like her stuff. And I'm just like, ma'am, I've got stuff to do. Like, I'm trying to finish my patient. I'm trying to go over here and read this thing. I'm scratching, like, I don't have time.
You're itching.
Scratching my neck. Like, ma'am, like, I get it. I'm flattered that you feel like I'm somebody you can talk to, but also...
To take things back,
don't
I know I said
get
stuff
paid
to
for
Rick and Morty, but let's take things
this.
back to Star Trek. Because every starship had a counselor, actually
It's a
several
real
counselors
job.
on, like, staff. Every job with more than 15 people should have a counselor on staff.
I don't get paid for that. That's all I
Because,
wanna
yeah,
say.
exactly.
I
I'm not
didn't
getting
get
paid for that.
Okay, guys. So we're going to spin the wheel to see what we're going to talk about this next episode. So let's spin it. All right. So it looks like it landed on Ta-Nehisi Coates, The Water Dancer.
A mutual friend of ours
Wow.
recommended this to me.
Okay.
And I think she has impeccable taste.
Okay.
So-
shout out to you, whoever you may be. I'm sure I know the person, but shout out.
Do.
I've been wanting to read something by Ta-Nehisi Coates as well because I
He's
haven't
good
read
at writing.
He is. I haven't read any of his books, but he has. I think he wrote for The Atlantic for a long time.
He was
so
he was also a part of the Black Panther comic book.
Yes. Okay,
Yes.
let's go.
Yes.
With graphic novels.
Yes.
Okay, graphic novels. And but he had an essay on reparations that took me out. That was so good. Recommend reading that if you haven't. So
Excellent communicator.
I'm excited. He's got a bunch of books that I'd like to read, but this one is his very first, I think, fiction. Because most of his stuff that he writes is,
Nonfiction.
Nonfiction.
Yeah, sort of cultural critic.
yeah,
Sort of
100%.
stuff.
And we tend to kind of like vibe with those kinds of things. So
We do.
I'm curious
We're
to
for
see
the culture.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited to read that one. So that'll be our next book, guys. So come back and join us. I can't wait to see you guys again. So okay,
It'll be exciting.
It will be. It will be. So come
All right.
back.
Peace.
Holla.
Before we go, we must give thanks to our sound engineer, Eric Dizzy from Dorian Keith Media,
To Urban Nerd for providing our music.
Buzz Viral Marketing runs our social media.
And legal services were handled by Trezanae M. Atkins.
If you like what you heard,
Please feel free to join us every Wednesday for another fake-ass book club. Cheers.
thank you guys for listening. You can check us out at thefabpodcast.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you're listening right now. We want to hear from you. Come put it in our life. Thanks again, and until next time, peace, love, and the Fake Ass Book Club. We out.